If they've written songs that have hit me right here, you know, I feel like they've done something for me. Shelter Me is an 8 out of 10, but it's also got me worried. This is the end of 1990. Nirvana's Nevermind was coming out the next year. Makes me want to go help old ladies across the street. How the fuck Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone didn't get to number one? The pain and the emotion in it is real. It reminds me of something that Bon Jovi would do, and I don't mean shitty Bon Jovi, and I'm fucking up, but it also forewarned us that the end was near. When we're listening to it, man, he's talking about our lives.
Look, I came here to do two things: chew bubblegum and talk hair metal, and it looks like I'm almost out of bubblegum.
Welcome to episode number 3 from the Hair Metal Haven. Episode number 1, we looked at all of the Warrant Jani Lane albums and ranked them with Dog Eat Dog coming out the winner. Then we followed up with the Poison albums, and eventually Flesh and Blood, surprisingly, was capped the winner. Well, in episode number 3, it's a special episode because we are going after one of my favorite bands of the hair metal genre, and that is Cinderella. They released 4 albums altogether from 1986 to 1994. We're going to come up with a winner, ranking each album from Night Songs to Long Cold Winter through Heartbreak Station, and finally, Still Climbing. With each ranking, we're going to rate each one of the songs on each album from a 1 to 10, and using those scores, we'll determine which was the best Cinderella album of all time. Which one do you think is going to come up on top? Well, stay tuned, because we have that and a whole lot more on episode 3. June 9th, 1986, that is the day that the Cinderella debut album, Night Songs, was released. It was a huge album for the band. It ended up going 3 times platinum and reached number 3 on the Billboard charts. Where is it going to rank in the best Cinderella albums of all time? Well, let's check out the songs. Let's just start off with the obvious. The first 3 songs on Night Songs might be one of the best 3 introductions of an album of all time. You've got Night Songs, followed by Shake Me, and Nobody's Fool. Well, I'm going to say right here and right now that those 3 songs rate a 10 out of 10. But Night Songs, it's moody, blustery, wintry guitar introduction, and Tom Kiefer's screeching vocals. For some reason, and this is where record companies fuck up, for some reason, the song Night Songs was not released as a single, did not get the video treatment. I have no clue why. It's one of the catchiest and most original songs of the hair metal genre. Could possibly be my favorite song on that album. Followed by Shake Me. Now, something interesting about Cinderella, three years before Night Songs came out, they were a different band. The Night Songs band was Tom Kiefer, who wrote all the songs, played guitar and played a lot of lead guitar. And you also had Jeff LaBar, who played some rhythm and some lead guitar, Eric Brittingham on bass, and Fred Curry on drums. Well, in 1983, they had a different drummer, and their guitar player was a guy named Michael Kelly Smith, who would go on to fame later on with the band Britny Fox. Well, they had already had a number of the songs that were released on Night Songs recorded. And in 1983, they actually released a video for Shake Me. Now, the recording was drastically improved, given some production value when it came out on the album Night Songs in 1986. And Shake Me is easily a 10 out of 10. One of the catchiest songs on any album of the hair metal genre. I still listen to it frequently. And that's how I rate songs. If I still actively seek out a song these days, then it's still a 10 out of 10. If it's something that I still love to listen to, but I maybe don't play it on purpose, it's probably an 8, possibly a 9. So then you move on to Nobody's Fool. And that's another, Tom Kiefer's voice and his guitar playing, he introduced a lot of slide guitar and stuff, but the moodiness and his gravelly vocals made Cinderella such an original band. And Nobody's Fool, you might not even call it a ballad, but I'm going to call it a ballad even though it's kind of dark and distant and blustery. Easily a 10 out of 10 in my book. And then you got Nothing for Nothing. It's a very good song. I'm not going to rate it super high. I'd probably give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. You go then to Once Around the Ride, and that's one of the heavier songs on the album. Not released as a single, but still really catchy. I'd probably give it a 7. And then you go to Hell on Wheels, and for some reason that opening guitar riff reminds me of something that would have come out on Kiss's Animalize. That great, catchy, heavy guitar riff and catchy song. You know, I don't think Cinderella got as much credit for being heavy. They were a lot heavier than the pop metal of Look What the Cat Dragged In. And Hell on Wheels definitely rates probably a 7 or an 8 in my book. And then you go into, again, another one of those songs that I still constantly play. It's pretty high up in my top 25 iTunes songs of all time, most played, and that's Somebody Save Me, which was a great video because a lot of people know the story that Bon Jovi discovered Cinderella in a nightclub and, passed on, what he thought about the band to his management company. They ended up getting picked up. The same record company went and released Night Songs, but John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora played a bit role in the video for Somebody Save Me. And, they probably didn't need the help because that opening guitar riff, so catchy, great lyrics, and, that song is just something that never leaves your head. Somebody Save Me, easily another 10 out of 10. The second to last song on Night Songs is Push Push. Again, another song that wasn't a single, but damn, it's catchy. It's got a really excellent opening guitar riff. The chorus screams at you. I'm not going to say it's a 10 out of 10, but I still actively listen to Push Push. Going to give that an 8 out of 10. And the last song on Night Songs is Back Home Again. It's got some really heavy guitar, but the chorus kind of loses me there. Not something that I dislike. I won't try to skip it, but it's not one of the catchier songs on the album. It's going to be a 6 out of 10. So how would Cinderella follow up such a strong debut album with Night Songs? A lot of artists say that you get your whole life to write your first record and you get 2 months to write your second. And that's the reason that a lot of second albums just never quite reach the heights of their debuts. But in July of 1988, we got Long Cold Winter, and let's be honest, it was if not as good as Night Songs, which we'll find out here in a second, it was a top-notch follow-up to a stunning debut album. Even though Long Cold Winter didn't get as high on Billboard charts, it only made it to number 10, while Night Songs reached number 3. However, it still went triple platinum on the backs of some amazing rock songs with some catchy guitar riffs and a couple of the best ballads of the hair metal genre. Let's check out the songs. The introduction for Night Songs ended up being one of those, minute-long, instrumentals that a lot of bands were doing at the time. Poison did the same thing, and they opened up with something called Bad Seamstress Blues. And even though, if you watch my Poison video, you know that I'm not big on these rock bands who got to prove that they can play the blues, but Bad Seamstress Blues was kind of catchy. It was almost that rocking chair country music introduction, but it's awesome. It sounds like something that you'd get from like Waylon Jennings, and everyone knows that Waylon Jennings is amazing. But then it goes into one of my favorite rock songs on the album, Falling Apart at the Seams. And when that country-ish guitar intro opens up and you get those catchy power chords, and then Tom Kiefer's gravelly voice pounds in, you know that you're in for something awesome, and Falling Apart at the Seams delivers. It is a phenomenal introduction to an amazing album. And speaking of great introductions to albums, you know, I've said in both of my previous reviews that record companies fuck up a lot. Like, I'm just surprised that sometimes how they mess up with the songs that they released as singles. Now, every song that was released as a single on Long Cold Winter deserved it. But they should have had another single, and that's Falling Apart at the Seams. 9 out of 10. When Long Cold Winter came out, I would have been 15 years old, almost 16. But I still remember the first time I heard the opening guitar riff to Gypsy Road. I was at my cousin's farm in a little town called Wyndmere, North Dakota, and they had this big Quonset where they would fix on tractors and all their farming equipment. Well, my cousin and I were playing basketball and had the radio on, and this song started up, and that opening guitar riff, which to this day I still get goosebumps when I hear the opening guitar riff of Gypsy Road. That riff came on, and I thought, what the heck is this? And I was the kind of kid who would stop what I was doing when a song came on that I was intrigued by. My cousin wanted to keep the basketball game going. I had to go stand by the radio and listen to this song. And Gypsy Road, I know at some point I plan on doing a review of my top rock songs of the hair metal genre. And I'm going to predict that Gypsy Road, if it's not number one, will be in the top 10. Another 10 out of 10. And speaking of albums that had just a string of phenomenal songs, after you get Gypsy Road, you get one of my favorite all-time ballads of any genre, and that's Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. When I talked about Poison and Warrant, I mentioned I Saw Red being one of my favorite songs of all time. I mentioned Every Rose Has Its Thorn being in contention for the greatest hair metal ballad of all time. Don't Know What You Got from Cinderella is still one of those songs that the emotion and the gut-wrenching pain, I mean, you can feel that Tom Kiefer went through something to write that song, and it still gets me to this day. When I end up doing that top hair metal ballads of all time, I said that Every Rose Has Its Thorn would be in contention for the top ballad of all time, and I will say it here right now. Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone is going to be right up there, one of the greatest ballads of any genre. I'm shocked that a country artist hasn't covered this by now, because it seems like, I don't follow country music, but somebody is riding high on the charts with the cover of a Tracy Chapman ballad. Well, some artist is going to cover Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, and it's going to go to the top of the charts. It's that good, and that's why it's a 10 out of 10. How the fuck Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone didn't get to number one on the Billboard charts still astounds me. For some reason, it only reached number 10, a travesty in the history of music. You continue the streak of amazing songs to start this album, and I'm almost just shocked because the follow-up to Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone is a song called The Last Mile. Again, was a single, got the video treatment, and I'm fucking up. The Last Mile ended up going to number 36 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 18 on the US mainstream rock chart. And it's easy to see why. Phenomenal lyrics, about the weariness of, maybe he's talking about the road, but he's also, when we're listening to it, man, he's talking about our lives. And how you get fed up with things and you think, can I make it one more mile? Well, this song and this album, was just a testament to the great songwriting of Tom Kiefer. And The Last Mile, phenomenal song. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. After The Last Mile, you get The Second Wind, which is kind of an interesting song. It's got a really heavy opening guitar riff and it's really catchy. But for some reason, the chorus kind of loses me. I feel like they needed to work on it a little bit and come up with a different melody for it, and maybe extend some of the lyrics that were written for it. Still, very good song, but I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Okay, after Second Wind, you get to the title track, the song Long Cold Winter. I covered this in my Poison review, but in 1988 and 1989, hair metal bands, they got so much shit, and I feel like they wanted to do some sort of blues number so they could prove that they were real musicians, and that they had the chops to stand up with the blues players. Well, they didn't need to, okay? The fans had spoken. Night Songs went triple platinum. Long Cold Winter went triple platinum. And it wasn't on the strength of blues songs, but for whatever reason, they continued to do this. Long Cold Winter sounds like it's Tom Kiefer, doing his Stevie Ray Vaughan impersonation. No offense, Stevie Ray Vaughan fans. No offense, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Rest in peace. Okay, but Long Cold Winter, just a big, long, drawn-out blues solo. 2 out of 10. I can't listen to it. After the title track, you get If You Don't Like It, and it's weird because here's another song where I don't feel like the chorus holds up its end of the bargain, but the bridge, the intro to the chorus, is phenomenal, and it's got some really catchy guitar work. But man, spend a little more time on that chorus. So 6 out of 10. And after If You Don't Like It, you get another one of those phenomenal songs, full of meaning, a little bit deeper than your average, hair metal song with Coming Home. Got the video treatment, was all over MTV and all over radio. It's so catchy, and the lyrics, it's something. So I served 22 years in the North Dakota Army National Guard. I deployed twice. I was gone 16 months to Iraq, 11 months to Kosovo. And that was a song. I had some buddies who were really into bands like Cinderella, and that's a song that we would play a lot. And think about ending our tour. Well, I'm sure Tom Kiefer wrote it about being on the road, but it means a lot to a lot of people, especially soldiers and probably musicians. But anybody can relate to that, leaving and wanting to go back to somewhere that you miss. Coming Home, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10, but it's definitely a 9 out of 10. I still love to listen to it when I hear it, but I don't seek it out as much as maybe some other songs. So strong 9 out of 10. And on the right day, a 10 out of 10. So Fire and Ice is a little bit different than some of the other songs that I talked about, because I do like the chorus. It's the verses that kind of hold it back. So great. I mean, this album is full of catchy guitar riffs. Tom Kiefer and Jeff LaBar. I'm assuming it's Tom Kiefer that was writing most of the music, but the guitar riffs are phenomenal, really catchy, and it's true for this song. But the verses, for some reason, they kind of don't do it for me. Strong chorus, again, a 6 or a 7 out of 10. And the final song on Long Cold Winter is a song called Take Me Back. And here's another one where the record company jacked it up. This is a single. This is a catchy rock song. It's got some interesting cowbell in the intro, in the beginning, then super catchy guitar riff, and the chorus explodes. The lyrics are phenomenal. I still actively seek this song out. It's easily an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And, Long Cold Winter got 4 singles, but it could have been 6. No, I fucked it up. You had the opening track, Falling Apart at the Seams, and then Take Me Back. You could have had 6 singles. If you do, this album easily goes 5 times platinum. So we finished Night Songs, an amazing 4 10 out of 10s. And Then we went to Long Cold Winter, which maybe didn't have as many 10 out of 10s, but I think it had more 8s and 9s. So which one is going to be the winner between these two? And will they have the strength to beat Heartbreak Station? And that's what we're going to cover next. How is Cinderella going to follow up just an amazing second release in Long Cold Winter? Well, we got our answer November 20th, 1990, when Heartbreak Station came out. And you can tell, when you look at the first album, when you look at what they were wearing on the cover of the first album, and the garish outfits and the huge hair and the makeup, which I didn't mind. I love this cover. And then you go to Long Cold Winter, and you can tell they're trying to distance themselves from that image. And then you get another picture of the band on the cover, but no makeup. It's kind of dark looking. They're all looking moody, and the colors are dark, but still a phenomenal album. And it ended up going platinum, reaching number 19 on the Billboard charts. But platinum compared to the previous two albums, triple platinum. It's hard to say that platinum is a disappointing result, but you have to think that they were starting to feel the pressure when this album didn't fare as well as their first two. So how does it compare to Night Songs and Long Cold Winter? Let's go through the songs. Cinderella kicked off Heartbreak Station with a banger. The More Things Change, phenomenal guitar riff. The More Things Change ended up being released as a single. It didn't chart, and you could kind of tell that the outlook for Cinderella was kind of dwindling down. A song like that, which I think is phenomenal, great guitar riff, phenomenal lyrics, but doesn't reach the Billboard Top 40, but an awesome introduction to the album. I'm going to give that song an 8. However, with song number 2 is where you start to see that you're in for something a little bit different, and in my opinion, not as good. We had the song Long Cold Winter, that extended blues jam that I didn't like, but still, the album was phenomenal, but we get a little bit more of that in Heartbreak Station. And song number 2, Love's Got Me Doing Time, that's a title that just screams, I'm about to throw some blues shit at you. And you get this opening blues guitar riff, which is hard for me to listen to. The song lyrics are all blues, the guitar is blues. The song does nothing for me. It's a 3. Now, the third song was the first single and video for Heartbreak Station, and that's Shelter Me. Now, I really like the song Shelter Me. It's a really good rock song. I might give it an 8 out of 10. But it was so different than the first singles from the other two albums. It starts off with this country guitar riff and this twang that goes along with it. Now, I'm not against that. I like some interesting guitar, some interesting country stuff that can be mixed in with rock when it's done right. And then it kicks in with this cool guitar riff, but then you start getting some horns. And then you start getting some female backup singers. Again, I really like Shelter Me. But a part of me is going, what's going on? We had this big blues song with song number 2, and then song number 3 and the first single, horns, country, female backup singers. Shelter Me is an 8 out of 10, but it's also got me worried. Song number 4 is called Sick for the Cure, and this is another one where I think this could have been a single. Super catchy guitar riff, the lyrics are great, and then this chorus is just sweet and catchy and makes me want to go help old ladies across the street. So phenomenal song, an 8 out of 10, and could have been a single. After Sick for the Cure, you got One for Rock and Roll. Now, we had some country leanings on Shelter Me, and One for Rock and Roll is, man, you You can feel the Rolling Stones and the 70s country influence, but it works. One for Rock and Roll is a phenomenal song. I know a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but some people bash on it. Cinderella trying to be country. Now, I don't like bands like this doing the blues, but I'm not a huge country fan, but if you do it right and you rock and roll it up, it works. And One for Rock and Roll, I still think is an amazing song today. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. After that, you get Dead Man's Road. Now, this song does have some blues leanings, but it's done in a catchy way. It reminds me of something that Bon Jovi would do, and I don't mean shitty Bon Jovi. And I like Bon Jovi, but some of their later stuff, ugh. But it's almost that Western, weary, road. I'm sleeping on my jacket and my horse is sitting by my side. I'm not going to say it's an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but it's definitely a 7. You should check that song out. It's a good song. After Dead Man's Road, you get Make Your Own Way, and this is another super catchy song. I mean, sometimes I listen to these albums, and it's not like I listen to Cinderella every day. I did my homework in preparation for this video. I went and listened to the 4 albums that I'm going to review, and I'm just amazed at how catchy he can write guitar riffs and melodies for his lyrics. And Make Your Own Way is another one of those songs where, it maybe wouldn't be a single, it maybe shouldn't get the video treatment, but damn, it's a 7 or an 8, and it's a phenomenally catchy song. So now we're going to talk about the title track, Heartbreak Station, and I think it's a really cool title for an album, but it's not very often that the title track is a ballad. Usually, if bands are going to name the album after a song, it's going to be some sort of rock song that states their purpose, but we get a ballad, Heartbreak Station, an acoustic ballad. Now, I'm sure when the band, released this video and single that they were thinking this is the song that is going to make this album explode, and it didn't happen. It only got to number 44 on the Billboard charts. It did have a cool video. They're at this train station, and the smoke from the train, and it's old school, and this this girl and this guy at this train, and they're saying goodbye, and it's pretty emotional, and it's a phenomenal song. It doesn't reach the heights of a Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, but damn, I can't believe it only made it to number 44. But it just shows you that the times were changing, and Heartbreak Station is a great song. I'm going to give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10, but probably should have fared better than what it did. You have Love Gone Bad, and for some reason, when a band starts playing with the blues, then they got to name all these songs about love, and Love Gone Bad. It's not blues in the same vein as Long Cold Winter, but man, this is the worst song on the album. Okay, maybe not the worst song, but it's probably the second worst song on the album. 4. It finishes with a phenomenal ballad called Wind of Change, and there is no better way to end this album because the wind of change was there. This is the end of 1990. Nirvana's Nevermind was coming out the next year. These bands were on their last legs, which sucks because they were some phenomenal musicians. This is a very good album. You can probably tell from my review that it's not going to beat Night Songs or Long Cold Winter, but this song makes me sad because maybe Tom Kiefer saw it coming, saw the change coming. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be as bad as it ended up being, but this was Cinderella's last stab at superstardom. The album made it platinum, went to number 19 on the charts, but it also forewarned us that the end was near. Still Climbing came out on November 8th of 1994. Now, why did it take 4 years? That's a huge amount of time in between albums back in the late 80s and early 90s. Well, if you followed Cinderella like I did, you knew that Tom Kiefer was having a lot of vocal and throat problems, which I think he went through surgery and has gone through surgery multiple times. But that was the reason for the delay in this release. Did it make a bunch of difference? Well, in a way, because had this album come out in 1992, it would have fared much better than what happened when it came out in 1994. It only reached number 178 on the charts, and there was so little promotion. I still remember the day I was walking around, I think it was called a Media Play store in Fargo, and browsing the CDs, and holy crap, there's a new Cinderella album. Well, there was only one copy, which kind of told you that, it wasn't being promoted, or, there wasn't a whole lot of hype about this album. I bought it, took it home, and listened to it right away, which is what I did, which is what I still do with my favorite bands. And you know what? It is a fantastic rock album. I'm going to be honest and upfront. It's not going to beat the first two, but it might get up there with Heartbreak Station. So let's go through the songs. I think Tom Kiefer got the message after Heartbreak Station that what Cinderella fans wanted was a hard rock album in the vein of the first two albums, and he delivered. And the first song, Bad Attitude Shuffle, it's heavy. Lyrically, I don't think it's that great. It's a good song. It's a 7 out of 10. I hoped for a little bit better for an introduction. I know there are better songs on the album, so let's see what's next. After Bad Attitude Shuffle, we redeem ourselves with All Comes Down. Super catchy, power chord, guitar riff at the beginning. Great lyrics, and the chorus, chorus is always the most important part of the song. Well, super catchy chorus, 8 out of 10. Talk is Cheap. The chorus loses me a little bit. I do like the verses, 7 out of 10. Song number 4 is the first ballad on Still Climbing. And, what can you say? Tom Kiefer's voice, it's that gravelly, rough, that just exudes pain and emotion, and Hard to Find the Words is a song. It's a tribute to his mother, and I think I'm kind of a tough guy, but I'm also a mama's boy. My mom is the most important person in my life, besides my kids. And every Mother's Day, I send her this song to listen to. It's a great tribute to an important person, a fantastic ballad. It's a 9 out of 10. Blood from a Stone is a song where the verses, I think, are super catchy. Now, the chorus isn't bad, but it doesn't match up to the promise of the verses, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The next song is Still Climbing, and it's got this long, weary kind of introduction, and then you can feel the lyrics just say, I'm tired. Do I want to keep doing this? And that emotion is probably something. Tom Kiefer had gone through all these voice problems, surgeries. His particular brand of music is, by 1994, truly out of favor. I'm sure this is a desperate time, and these are desperate lyrics. I'd rate it a 7 out of 10, but the pain and the emotion in it is real. Freewheelin' is the heaviest song on the album. The guitar riffs it's super fast. It's if Cinderella was doing thrash, no, it's not a thrash song, but if Cinderella did thrash, it would be something like Freewheeling. I don't think it's all that catchy. I think Cinderella's better guitar riffs are when they're a little bit slowed up, and like The guitar riff to Gypsy Road isn't super fast, but it's super catchy. Freewheeling kind of loses me. Maybe it's a little bit faster than I like. It probably is a song that a lot of fans like. It doesn't really do a lot for me. 5 out of 10. The next song is Through the Rain, and it's the second ballad on the album. And I'm a huge fan of Cinderella doing ballads. Tom Kiefer has such a great ballad voice. Through the Rain is probably his attempt to see the good in the bad that is going on right now. So it's got this positive message. You see the sun shine through the rain, and I'm sure there were some dark times. And when you get close to a band, you feel for them. Like I always want the best for my bands. I want their albums to sell millions of copies, and I want their tours to sell out, because if they've written songs that have hit me right here, I feel like they've done something for me and made my life better. And I just always want I don't want that to sound cheesy, but I want their lives to be awesome too. And so I love the positive message of Through the Rain. It's a 9 out of 10. Easy Come, Easy Go is one of the best rock songs on the album. It's got that catchy introduction of a guitar riff. Then the chorus explodes. You find yourself humming along with it. One of the better songs on the album. It's an 8 out of 10. The Road Still Long is another one of those weary, tired songs. You're trying to get to where you're going, and it feels like you're never going to get there. And are you ever going to get there? So it's not quite a ballad. It steadily picks up pace as you go along. I love the lyrics to it. Musically, there maybe could have been a little bit more done. Musically, it is catchy. The lyrics drive it to a high 7, maybe a low 8. Hot and Bothered is one of the songs that could have easily been on Night Songs or Long Cold Winter. Catchy guitar riff, thumping rhythm. It's not a 9 or a 10, but it reaches up into that 8 out of 10 level. So we've talked about each of the albums. The opener, Night Songs, 1986, 3 times platinum. Long Cold Winter from 1988, 3 times platinum. Heartbreak Station from 1990 goes platinum, but losing a little bit of its luster. And then finishing up with Still Climbing, which doesn't do anything sales-wise or chart-wise, but harkens back to the earlier days of Long Cold Winter and Night Songs. So which is the best Cinderella album? I'll be honest that I predicted it just looking at the first 3 songs on the album, and then a 4th song being a 10 out of 10. The best Cinderella album is Night Songs. There are 4 songs that are a 10 out of 10 on this album. There is some filler, and when I say filler, songs that reach to me a 5 or a 6 are filler. But man, those hits, those singles, and the fact that the song Night Songs wasn't a single, shocking, because it's a 10 out of 10. Night Songs is the best album by Cinderella. It's followed up by Long Cold Winter with one of my favorite rock songs of all time, Gypsy Road, one of my favorite ballads of all time, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. Again, an album that has a lot of 8s and 9s, got a couple of 10s, not as many 10s as Night Songs, but super strong album. If you catch me on the right day, Long Cold Winter could be the album that I say is the best Cinderella album. It really is a toss-up between Heartbreak Station and Still Climbing. I'm going to give Still Climbing the edge for not having to go into that blues category so much. Heartbreak Station might have, 2 songs that I consider better to be anything on this album. But overall, the quality of songs as a whole make it eke out 3rd place over Heartbreak Station. I still really like Heartbreak Station. There's not a Cinderella album I don't like, but Still Climbing goes third. Heartbreak Station goes fourth. We've made it to the end of episode number 3 on the Hair Metal Haven. We've decided that Night Songs, or at least I've decided that Night Songs is the best Cinderella album. What do you think? Did Night Songs pull it off? Will Long Cold Winter be your top album? Or maybe it's one of the two that I picked to be third and fourth. Maybe you think Still Climbing or Heartbreak Station is the best Cinderella album. Either way, hopefully you'll go back and check out those albums again. This next week, I'll be recording episode number 4. I'm still trying to decide, am I going to rate the albums by Skid Row, or am I going to go another direction where I maybe pick the most underrated, unappreciated hard rock, hair metal albums of all time? You know, we're talking about your bands like Wild Side, Sleazebees, Dirty Looks, Hanoi Rocks. Those are some of my favorite bands of all time. The bands that just never got the shot that they deserved. So I'll be making the introduction here on my Twitter channel, Hair Metal Guru. Hopefully you'll follow that at Hair Metal Guru. Until then, I hope you enjoyed episode number 3. Tell me where I got it right. Tell me where I got it wrong. Tell me what I can do better. And from the bottom of my heart, I honestly do appreciate you taking the time to watch. We'll see you next week with episode number 4. Take care.